You're listening to Gameday Tarps podcast, coast to coast, with your hosts, Riley, Dakota, Dallas, Dayton, and Wilbs.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Gameday Tarps, episode 34. I'm your host, Wilbs, featuring with Riley, Dally, and Day today. We did not have a full squad, but we got some big news coverage today as the Edmonton Oilers have forced a Game 7. Wow. Turn of events.
Yeah, that's a big one for Edmonton.
There has been There's been a huge debate on if Connor McDavid will win the Conn Smythe Trophy if, let's say, the Oilers lose. I mean, obviously, if they win, I feel like it's well-deserved, but, like, to have a losing team and a losing player win the MVP, I mean, you could go 50-50 on it. I mean, obviously, McDavid's been a man of his own, but it's just like, does a losing player of a losing team really deserve a Conn Smythe Trophy after an incredible run, or what are your thoughts on these takes? Because that's been a debate for a little bit right now.
Well, I think honestly, if if any of the other players on the winning team weren't as excellent or exemplary of the award, then why not, right?
Yeah, the funny thing about it is that Connor McDavid's been in the OHL finals before when he played in the NHL, and he even won MVP after losing to the Ottawa Generals. So it'd kind of be a funny thing that even happened if they lose in Game 7, but right now it's not looking like the case. Oilers they want it more. They've been pressuring the Panthers. They figured out Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky has allowed how many goals in the last 3 games? Like
12? I mean, that's the thing. If Florida does win, the only player that I think would be like satisfactory, it would make me satisfied if they win the Conn Smythe would be Barkov.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only player.
Yeah. There's only 2 players left on the ballot. It's Barkov or McDavid. There's no one else left. Bobrovsky's fallen off too much. Kachuk has fallen off. Like, there's only
maybe
2
Skinner.
players.
But if you give it to someone in Edmonton, it has to be McDavid.
Can't have someone who got delegated to backup for 2 games in the second round win it. I don't think.
That's true.
Well, I just thought of something real quick. That a what if? So if they didn't lose in 2015 to the Ottawa Generals, what if it was McDavid versus his now teammate Leon Draisaitl in the Memorial Cup in Quebec? And what if it was McDavid scoring the OT goal against his Kelowna Rockets, right?
That would have been
crazy.
Sick. That would have been sick. But yeah, Oshawa had a really good team. Underdog team. Ken Appleby was insane that series. And, I look back to every series of every playoffs and just looking at all these teams and champions, and like Oshawa had a good goaltender, had very good depth, and they got it done. But it would have been crazy to see McDavid in the Memorial Cup final. But now we're seeing him in the Stanley Cup final, which it's going to be exciting to see who takes it home. Let's get some projections going. Who do you guys got for Game 7? Let's get some early projections. Who do you think's going to take it home?
Well, all the pressure's
I'm sticking Oilers.
All the pressure's on the Cats now.
Yeah, even though they're at home, I feel like, Oilers have came back from 3-0, which I feel like wasn't there like only 1 or 2 teams that were able to come back to that in the Stanley Cup final? 4?
4, I think. Yeah, in history.
So
last time it happened was 1942 by the Maple Leafs.
So
when the Maple Leafs were good.
4 teams have forced a Game 7, but only the Maple Leafs have won that Game 7.
That's nuts. It's crazy stats, and we've seen a lot of crazy stats with players like Connor McDavid, like being that next player with points, and the last person to do it was Wayne Gretzky. Like he's putting up record numbers. Like it's nuts seeing this generation nowadays going up to Gretzky now. We haven't really seen it, but now we are. Like with McDavid and also Ovechkin trying to chase that goal record now. Like it's kind of crazy to see all these numbers play out in these playoffs.
Well, that's what I'm saying too. Sorry, Dave. I'll just go.
No, go ahead.
Like with this whole Conn Smythe conversation is like, okay, it's the playoff MVP. It's not the finals MVP. It's not the winning team's MVP.
The whole 9 yards.
There's only 3 players that have done what McDavid has done in all the history of the NHL. It's Gretzky, Lemieux, and him. He's now got the most assists ever in a playoff series, in a playoff run of 4 rounds. Most ever points in a Stanley Cup final. He's like 3rd now. It's again Gretzky, Lemieux, him. He's only 4 or 5 points back of Gretzky for that record. Like, I don't really care if the Panthers do win. It has to go to him. Like, it would be an absolute disrespectful thing to be like, yeah, he was only better than Gretzky and he was only up there with Gretzky and Lemieux, but he wasn't the best player in these playoffs. Like, there's just no way to justify it. It was so close to being Bobrovsky. It was this close to being Bobrovsky. There's no word of a lie. But he's had like a 76% save percentage since Game 3. And he's gone. And Barkov has been still good, but not great. And he's like 20 points behind McDavid. So I don't think that it could be anyone other than McDavid. And if it is, it's Evan Bouchard, who is like just past Paul Coffey for playoff points or playoff assists by a defenseman or whatever it was. Like, it's those 2 guys are kind of running away with it. Draisaitl slowed down. Skinner's been pulled, like we mentioned. Bobrovsky's now been pulled, and he hasn't been playing well. Like, Tkachuk slowed down. Bennett slowed down. Verhaeghe slowed down. Reinhardt slowed down. You start looking at all these guys, and it's a downturn on everyone except for McDavid. He's the only one still going crazy.
Riley,
that's why he's my vote.
Riley, I'm just about to quote your brother for a quick second here, but before I do that, like, this is one Stanley Cup Finals where, like, truth be told, I really don't care if it goes either way. Honestly, both teams are deserving of a cup, but also, like, as your brother said to me, don't ever doubt this man ever again. Connor McDavid has been lights out. He has been all gas, no brakes. He 100%, win or lose, deserves the Conn Smythe, whether he wins the Stanley Cup as well or he goes home, right? He 100% deserves it. A historic Stanley Cup Finals run. Even a Stanley Cup playoffs run, right? So you got to think of it this way. Like, he's 100% deserving. So don't ever doubt him. Who knows? He could be going back-to-back next year, too.
And it's crazy to think that we haven't seen a Canadian team win it since 1993, and that's David's Montreal Canadiens. But it's kind of crazy to think it's been that long, and like, if we see a Canadian team win it, media is gonna go everywhere on this, everywhere. Like, it's gonna be nuts. And like, even I heard that I heard from one of my buddies that there's like over 200,000 fans watching. Like not inside Rexall Place, but outside, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's a record, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of people. I don't know what the record is, but it was close.
Yeah, wait till the city starts partying.
Did you say
Rexall? If they win Game 7, but I think it's a high possibility that they will win Game 7.
Did you say Rexall, Wilbs?
Not Rexall.
Rogers Place.
Whoops.
Throwing it way
Rogers
back.
Place. No, that's the prime. That's the prime days.
I didn't add this to the notes, but this is from Steve Dangle and his podcast guys. So he went on NHL.com and found the playoff points in history. So McDavid is 47th. It doesn't really seem like that big of a number, but he is 5 assists behind Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane has 143 career playoff games. Connor McDavid has 72. He has 37 goals, 80 assists, and 117 points. Patrick Kane in 143 games has 53 goals, 85 assists, and 138 points. He's only 21 points back and 5 assists back of a guy who has 3 Stanley Cups, was on one of the most dominant teams in the modern era. And that is how good Connor McDavid has been in the playoffs. He's right behind Brad Marchand by 2 points, Ryan Getzlaf 3 points, Krejci 5 points, Kane 5 points, Mark Recchi 6 points, Brett Hull, these are assists, 7 assists behind Brett Hull, Mike Modano 8 assists. Like, Gordie Howe, he's only 12 assists behind Gordie Howe in the NHL playoffs. Like, this guy has been absolutely unreal.
Yeah, Riley, this is what I was going to say a few minutes ago. I also saw on the Steve Dangle podcast that McDavid in this playoff run alone has almost as many points as the whole, like almost every guy on the Leafs roster has in their playoff, like history. Matthews has like 50 or 49 or 48. 49, and then Marner has 50, I believe. And McDavid had like 42 at the time of the video, and I was like, man, that's actually wild. In one playoff.
Now that is a measure of success.
It's gonna become a meme, just like Jaromir Jagr's points in the freaking Leafs roster.
Sorry, Leafs fans.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It gives me a laugh.
I saw too that they said, okay, this is it. It's over. This whole Matthews versus McDavid thing is done because I believe McDavid has officially passed Matthews' season assist total in the playoffs. Well, his 81-game season, he passed his assist total. Yes, he scored his 69 goals and he was fantastic. Again, not discrediting Matthews, but he passed his assist total now in the playoffs.
Honestly,
that's
it's not even. It shouldn't even be a debate. It shouldn't even be a debate between Matthews versus McDavid. I know Matthews is a great player, but like, who's close to McDavid in this era right now? Like, I mean, you could go with Kucherov, you could go with McKinnon. Those players have a better chance than Matthews, but McDavid's just on his own other level, and he was getting hate the first couple of games because he started off slow, and then he starts picking it up, has an historic season. Then he starts with the playoffs, and now he's in the Cup final. Like, he shut those haters up real quick.
The goal scorers like Ovi, Matthews, they will never compare to the elite centers that can do it all. The Crosbys, the McDavids, the McKinnons, those are very rare air of players. And you can still say, yes, Matthews scored 69 goals, whatever. Like, I still have McKinnon above Matthews. I have Matthews at 5 in the top 5 players in the league, like number 5. I don't have him top 3.
2 of those guys you just mentioned are from Nova Scotia. So
yes, they are.
Nova Scotia Reds.
We got our Nova Scotian over there.
Oh, buddy. You know what? I'll throw it up on the pod right there.
Oh, the lamp.
No.
Isn't it the lighthouse?
Nova Scotia.
The lighthouse.
With Sid and McKinnon on the arm, too.
Nice.
That's sick. Now, speaking about how we are speaking of the Oilers, Edmonton Oilers legend Andrew Cogliano, he announced his retirement today. Congratulations to him. He was definitely a fun player to watch. For me, he was on the 2007 World Junior Canada roster. That was the legendary roster when John Fantage had his 3-goal shootout performance. But nonetheless, Andrew had an incredible career with the Oilers, played with the Sharks, Dallas, I'm pretty sure the Ducks, and ended off his career in Colorado, where he did win a Stanley Cup. Very successful career for him, I think. Obviously not like a huge star, but an underrated depth guy, and I congratulate him.
Yeah, good career.
Yeah, 100%. And that 2007, that 2007 World Junior run was pretty sick too. I just got to mention that.
All right. We talked about that for the Oilers. Talked about that. Yeah, Bouchard is ahead of Coffee. Okay, I think we've covered all the Oilers stuff except this stat for the Florida Panthers. Not a good stat. Every team who has allowed 8+ goals in a Cup Finals game in the last 10 years, 2023 Florida Panthers, 2024 Florida Panthers, they're the only team in the last decade to allow 8 goals in a Cup Final. Now, part of that is a badge of honor because it's like you got to be there to be in the stat, right? Like, how many teams can say they've been in the Cup Final twice in the last decade? That's only Florida, Tampa, Pittsburgh. Those are the only 3, I think.
But you let Washington in 8 goals twice.
Twice in the Cup Final, Dally? Oh, yeah, they lost to Vegas and then they won, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
No, sorry. Washington won against Vegas in 18.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, Dave, what were you saying?
Oh, no, I was just saying, and you let in 8 goals twice. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like, even tonight, boys, like, I'm sure you guys are watching the game, like, they pulled Bobrovsky, and then they pulled him again, and then 10 seconds later, they scored another empty netter goal.
What
What
a
are you guys doing?
save. Skinner's
By Skinner?
save? Oh my goodness, man.
The
It
boys
was
were
partly
pumped for that.
fluky, but like, wow.
When they scored that empty netter, they didn't give a shit. They're like, yeah, let's just go up to Skinner and give him a high five for that save.
Exactly.
Don't care about
When
the
they
goal,
scored
just
that
the
goal,
big save.
when they scored that goal, everybody went to Skinner, and I didn't see it. My buddy said, "Man, the goalie just scored a goal," and I was like, "No way! It would be way louder than that." So I had to
That's
go
what I
check and make
thought.
sure.
The way they celebrated, but I saw Nurse hit the puck, so I knew it wasn't him. But like the way that they celebrated, like Stu was like, "Yeah."
Could you imagine
like,
Could you imagine a goalie goal in the Stanley Cup final? Like that would be probably the biggest goalie goal ever. Like ever. I don't even know if there's any goalie that's had a
100%.
playoff goal in the NHL.
I don't know. Could you imagine a game-winning Stanley Cup goalie goal? Like an empty net.
God.
Like say his team is up by 1. They pull the other team pulls the goalie. He dumps it down the ice, gets the goal, right, to give them a 2-goal lead. But then the other team scores to make it a 1-goal lead again. So he technically gets the game-winning goal on the empty netter.
That would be kind of wild.
That'd be wild. Because no way a goalie is scoring on another goalie.
Give the goalie a Conn Smythe trophy if he does that. Like that's just come on, might as well.
Guy comes in period 3 because the other goalie got hurt in period 2. First ever freaking period in the playoffs. Scores a goal. Conn Smythe. Give it to him. All right. We have all other finals. Calder Cup finals are going on. The Hershey Bears versus Coachella Valley Firebirds yet again. Or Phoenix. I don't remember if they're Firebirds or Phoenix. I don't know if they're Are they Firebirds or Phoenix? Firebirds. Okay. So a rematch. Hershey though. Oof. They got pushed to the brink, boys. They were up 3-0 in their series, and they lost game 4, 5, and 6, and they barely squeaked out game 7 to make it to the final. It was double 3-0. Coachella Valley was up 3-0, and Hershey was up 3-0, and it was looking like a cakewalk for both. And then Hershey almost fumbled the entire bag.
Damn.
Who was Hershey playing against? Do you know?
I think it was Columbus's minor team. I think it was
the Cleveland Monsters.
Yeah, Cleveland Monsters. Yeah.
Oh damn.
It was actually kind of funny though. I read that immediately after the Memorial Cup, Dayton Matejchuk was called up immediately to the Cleveland Monsters to go on their playoff run, and then since then they went on that heater, but then ultimately lost Game 7.
Yeah.
Like apparently it was just out since he.
Well, Matejchuk's young, and it looks like he has a promising future for sure. Love the dude, love the guy. He was great at World Juniors, so happy for him.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And they have Jiricek too.
Yep. I would trade almost no matter what team I was, I would trade almost anyone for Denton Matejchuk. There's the few untouchables, right? There's like your McKinnons and your Kucherovs and your Matthews and your McDavids, but most teams, like, if they came at you with an offer, here's Denton Matejchuk for X roster player who's like in your top 6 and a first round pick, like, I'm doing it. He's going to be such a good NHL player.
Yeah.
He reminds me so much of Roman Josi, man. His game, just such mirrored like Roman Josi.
I agree. All right, well, I saw this too. Let's get into the way too early top 10 teams of next season and see if you guys agree. So let's go 10-1. 10th best team predicted for next season, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, I'm glad they're not glazing them. Because I would have had them in my top 5.
Ooh, I think they're going to fall apart, personally. It depends who you guys trade your guys for. If you guys come back with the core again, I could see you guys missing the playoffs. No word of a lie. You have no money to fill out the roster.
I got him at 6.
I
really don't see the Leafs
10.
doing that well next season.
I'd have them in my top 16, but not my top 10.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. We always go through this. Like, yes, they're going to have a terrific, wonderful regular season, okay? They're always going to be maybe top 3, maybe, top 3 in the Atlantic, and then if not, first wild card, but still. They're always going to be there. Always, always, always. So it's a safe bet to say, yeah, I could see him, going back to the playoffs, no matter what.
True. Number 9, Colorado Avalanche. I think this is
number one. Yeah, number one.
Okay, not number 1.
No,
they didn't even win a playoff series this year.
What do you mean they haven't won a playoff series this year, brother? They smoked the Jets.
Right. Sorry. For some reason I thought
gentlemen sweep them too.
I forgot Dallas played Vegas, or Dallas played Vegas first, not Colorado.
Dallas did kick us off though. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd put Avalanche in the top 5 probably. Looking at these teams.
I'd agree.
Number 8, Vancouver Canucks. Honestly, I'm slapping these guys out of a playoff spot next year.
Yeah, I don't see
calling it now.
That's kind of harsh.
Well, they just paid Philip Hronek $7.95 million. They're losing 3 of their 4 defensemen that they had as UFAs.
I think that was a desperate signing. A little bit of a panic mode. They didn't want to lose this guy, right?
I should know this, but I forget who I heard it from. But they literally said that it looks like the Canucks are going to go with 1 elite pair and then like 2 bottom pairs, because that's all they're going to have cap for. Hoping
so
that
literally
Hughes
what they're running now: Carson Soucy, Ian Cole. There's your bottom pair.
Is Philip Hronek actually worth that amount of money though?
He might be.
After that, but he played so well at the beginning of the season, but like once Christmas time hit or the All-Star break hit, he just went down so quick.
Yeah, an 8x7 I think is way, way, way overpriced. That's like Darnell Nurse talk now. Like way overpriced.
Darnell Nurse is also overpriced as shit. So
he is still. Even if the Oilers win a Stanley Cup, it does not distract from the fact that Darnell Nurse is the worst contract in the NHL right now.
-16. Remember that stat.
I think he's like a -12 now. He's not the worst anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like if you gave that to maybe Evan Bouchard, sure, I wouldn't complain so much, right? And I'm sure the 3 of you could agree as well.
Yep. Number 7, Carolina Hurricanes. This is another team I have not in the playoffs next year. I think that
13 pending UFAs, bro.
They are going to follow. They lost their GM. Their Nietzsche is on the trade block. All these guys are getting lost to free agency. I see the Carolina Hurricanes losing their playoff spot to one of the Buffalo Sabres, Ottawa Senators, or Detroit Red Wings next year.
At best, I'd probably take Detroit over those other 2. They're so fringe. There's no way.
Like, who's supposed to get the Carolina Hurricanes there? A 36-year-old Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta, who was up and down from the minors, or Pyotr Kochetkov? Like, what inspires us to think that this team is going to be able to come back? No Gensel, no Nietzsche, no Pesci, and not a solid goaltending core. Like, they should be a team that's in the mix for Jussi Saros, John Gibson, Linus Allmark. They need to ditch Brent Burns.
Yeah.
He's too much money. Ask San Jose if they're willing to take him back.
Speaking of San Jose, isn't it funny? Well, speaking of San Jose, like, just think, what are your thoughts? Like, do you find it funny how the San Jose Sharks were on Barclay Goodrow's no trade list, and yet New York put him on waivers, and San Jose's like, snag? Like,
it has happened before.
And he was very disgruntled about it, extremely pissed off.
He is.
So who knows if they could use him as a trade chip now, right? Free trade chip. Here's a third next year.
Well, that's the hard thing is, like, even if they cut him in half, he's still a $1.5 million cap hit. It would have been better off. Like, I was pumped. I thought he was going to Tampa 100%. I thought no one was going to take him on waivers. New York would have no choice but to buy him out. And then Tampa would come calling and say, hey, you're getting paid for the next 6 years no matter what. why don't you come back to us on like an $885K a year just for fun and come play in our bottom six again?
Well, even a 1.5 isn't that terrible of a contract either, right? So I'm pretty sure no team would say that we're stuck with this contract.
No,
he's still a
but,
hell of a player. So
well, actually, no. So it wouldn't even work because San Jose has their two. They filled up their retention slots with Hurdle and Carlson.
no, fair enough.
So they can't.
Like I said, could be a trade
Yeah.
piece then coming up soon for the draft.
I mean, he had a heck of a playoffs for a third, fourth liner. He had 6 goals, 2 assists. Like, it's not like he played bad. He was their assistant captain. He just is slightly because everyone who played for Tampa, Yanni Gourde, Blake Coleman, Tyler Johnson, Andre Palat, Barclay Goodrow, they're all overpaid because they went to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, right? So look at Ross Colton. Ross Colton is on Colorado's trade block right now because they signed him to a 4-year, $4 million contract as a third-line depth scorer. Like, he's definitely gone, but where are they going to find a home for him, right?
We have 16 mil in cap space. We're going to have another additional 4 if and when we decide to get rid of that contract too, right? So we could be signing a big name. Or actually, you know what? It's actually kind of funny about Colorado is that like the only 2 guys on that entire team that have 5+ years locked down on their contract are Val Nichushkin and Nathan McKinnon. UFA next year, Mikko Rantanen. Like, all those guys are up within next year or 2 years, which is actually kind of scary, right?
Yeah.
And only one of those guys is actually a full roster player right now. The other, he just went back to the NHL assistance program. So it's like, Colorado, you gotta get your shit together, man.
Yep.
Burnaby Joe, what's going on with the team, man? Gotta get some things in order here, brother.
Absolutely.
Starting to panic.
Let's jump to number 6 now. New York Rangers. I think that this team is going to be in the top 3. Just in the regular season, they won the President's Trophy, and so they lost Barclay Goodrow. The rest of their roster is signed. Like, this team didn't get worse necessarily. It didn't really get better, but they won the President's Trophy. So, like,
still a curse.
I think they'll get better. I think they'll get better, honestly.
Lafreniere finally stepped up.
Yeah, they just re-signed Kakko to an absolute steal of a deal when everyone thought he was gone.
That was surprising. He has been on the trade rumor block for so long, and finally they're saying, we'll give you another chance for you stepping up this year.
I think it also gives them full control, though. So now, say they do trade him, at least he has a cheap contract, and maybe one team is willing to take that flyer on him now, rather than him being an RFA and then him going to arbitration and winning like $3 million. Now he's like 1.4 million. So they're like, oh, okay, we could trade for him and he won't be a huge risk. That's my thought, at least. It was smart business, even if they do trade him. Number 5, the Boston Bruins. This one, okay, we all thought Boston was going just straight downhill this year after Bergeron leaving, Krejci leaving. I really do think that we're going to see Boston slip next year. They can't play that good defensively. They're looking to trade Linus Ullmark, which means whoever their backup goaltender is isn't going to be an out-of-this-world goaltender in Swayman or Ullmark. So there's going to be points lost, maybe to the tune of 30 extra points. Who knows, right? So they could fall out of the playoffs.
Yeah, to me, I don't think the Bruins even have it like offensively anymore. They have David Pastrnak. He's a good offensive player, but I mean, like the next guy you look at is like Jake DeBrusk or Trent Frederick. Like, but those aren't guys that would even be in a top 6 on some teams.
And they also have one of the worst ranked prospect pools in all of the NHL. So they don't have a bright future to look forward to as well. So I don't know, boys.
The only thing that I hate that's constantly coming up and really does make a lot of sense is that these guys could just throw Steven Stamkos a number of whatever he wants and they get their number 1 center. Right? Like, that is definitely an option. If the Lightning don't get something done for Stamkos here, absolutely expect the Boston Bruins to be right there, waiting with a number. Number 4, Edmonton Oilers. Another one that I don't think is a top 5 team next year because that cap is going to come fast and it's going to come hard on them. Like, they're going to lose Henrique, maybe Fogle, defense-wise, who knows who they're going to lose, right? Like, this team is about to just whittle down after this season ends.
I still got them top 5 regardless.
Especially if they win the cup, you could have some guys asking for a little more money.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
Always expecting a payday after the cup.
Well, look at these playoffs. Like, somehow they convinced Evan Bouchard to make, what, $4 or $5 million, and they gave Nurse $9 million. And look at who really is more important for their season as they're about to win a cup. Like, Nurse has to go at some point because Bouchard's contract is only a bridge deal. And when that runs up, he's going to be like, yeah, by the way, I'm worth 10, right? I'm worth the McCarr. I'm worth the Hughes money. Like, especially if they win the Stanley Cup now, he'll be like, okay, I took my lump for you guys. We won a cup or 2 maybe by then. I need my money now. Like, start paying.
I think they definitely have to get something straightened out. And like we could probably all agree, Darnell Nurse has the worst contract in the NHL.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
Erik Karlsson's right there, but Erik Karlsson at least brings offensive value.
Yeah, but
anybody would take Erik Karlsson over Darnell Nurse any day.
For sure.
Erik Karlsson also has like the stats to back him up. Darnell Nurse, literally, like we mentioned, this playoff run, he was terrible, in my opinion.
Third overall, Vegas Golden Knights. Another team I see slipping. Talking about trading Shea Theodore, losing potentially Jonathan Marchessault, definitely losing Anthony Mantha. They already told him he's not coming back. Like,
and this was an all-in year, right? Look how that backfired in their face.
The only thing that's their saving grace is that Calgary sucks at making trades and that they didn't get a guy like what's his name on defense, Nick Hague in the trade for Hannafin or something like that, right? Like, they're still great. Don't get me wrong. Are they going to be in the top 2 teams? Like, this is saying that they're the best team in the Pacific Division. Are they going to win the Pacific Division next year? I don't know about that.
Yeah, but Calgary was also getting all these conditional picks with these trades too, so.
Yeah. Panthers number 2. Definitely depends on if Reinhardt's back. They could lose a lot. Montour, do they
Brendan
have to trade Montour?
Yeah, that's the rumors.
Can we just talk about him? Can we talk about Montour? Where is he in these playoffs? I mean, last year it was literally the Brandon Montour show for the Florida Panthers. It was all him the whole time. He was in every interview. He was the most talked about player. He had, he was having his baby, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden this year, it's like he's the 15th or 20th most important player on this Florida roster.
Yeah, I don't know. He's disappeared, honestly. He just hasn't been there. Also, a funny stat, since you brought up Montour, I saw a picture today. It was like a slideshow on Instagram. It was like Panthers players then and now. And it was every Panthers player that plays for them now that used to play for the Buffalo Sabres. Montour was the first one that started off. And there was like 6 or 7 guys.
There's tons.
Nico Mikkola, Sam Reinhart, I believe Warren Fogle. There's a bunch of them.
There's a whole bunch of guys. The Sabres have been a revolving door of Stanley Cup champions for years.
Yeah. They're like the NHL's very own farm team within the league.
Literally.
The grass is greener on the other side of the pasture.
You want a good player to build your NHL Stanley Cup winning team around? We have the guy for you.
Look no further. Buffalo, New York.
But wait, there's more. Starts kicking the tires on.
They either go on to win cups or they get overpaid and then they get mired on a bad team, a guy like Rasmus Ristolainen or something.
You know who's another boys? Do you know who's another Buffalo Sabre who we have not mentioned at all? For the Florida Panthers, Kyle Okposo.
Yep.
He is another NHL veteran who is once again just at the Stanley Cup Finals. Will he get the cup? Obviously, we don't know yet, but still, like you said, a revolving door for Buffalo, and it's just crazy how many of these guys are showing up in other places, going to the finals.
Okposo just tag on.
Hey,
That
man,
is.
next year I'm calling it Jeff Skinner. They're buying him out, and he's going to go to a Stanley Cup contender next year. You watch.
Oh, he'll be so good at a cheaper contract. But, dude, Okposo was scratched today for Nick Cousins, and I was like, come on.
Oh, not
Like,
Nick Cousins.
Oh,
No.
jeez.
He's been quiet lately, too. He hasn't been much of a nuisance.
yeah, I don't think he's
Knock on
played
wood.
in like
Somebody
3
knock
or
on
4
wood.
weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been too
There you go.
quiet.
Let's jump to the number 1 team, the Dallas Stars. I agree with this.
Well, how's it gonna be like without Joe Pavelski though? I mean,
I don't know. Wyatt Johnson, Logan Stankoven. Who's that other guy, Dally? Maverick Bork?
Maverick Bork, yep, plays for
The
Texas.
defense
I
is
mean,
pretty much all coming back. Like, they traded
made
Ty
a
Dellandrea.
they
yeah
do
to
have a
San
good future
Jose.
ahead. They do have a good future ahead. I'll give them that, but maybe give them a year or
But
two.
the thing
I don't
is, the
know.
future showed up. The future showed up now, and they were just like, hey, by the way, we're like 20-year-olds and we're dominating.
Yeah, Rupe Hintz, Jason Robertson, Stankoven, Johnston. That top 4 right there is just, man, so
I mean, it's
young
good.
and
We'll
so
see.
skilled.
We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't know. Like
And their
again,
defense,
it's really hard to say.
Heiskin and Lindell.
If I had to slap any team in the league on a wall and say this team is going to win the Stanley Cup before 2030, I would pick the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, Stars will win it before them for sure.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I mean, they have a good core ahead, so I'm excited to see.
And that's what, like, wait until they get Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin's contracts off the books. Wait till they have $20 more million to build their roster around Hintz and Robertson and Stankoven and Johnson and Heiskanen and Ottinger. This team's going to be crazy when they get that extra 20 mil. Plus the cap's going to be up 10 mil by then. So it's going to be like $30 million in extra cap to build around these guys. They're going to be so good.
They
It's
definitely are
going
going to win a
crazy.
cup. They're definitely going to win a cup in the next 5 years. I can agree with that.
So we have the draft coming up. I wanted to throw this stat in there, one, because this is my age group, the 2014 draft guys. But really funny stats. So obviously we talked about last pod, the top four picks are all in the Stanley Cup final. But I really saw this and it made me laugh. So the top 4 picks in the 2014 NHL draft are all playing in the Stanley Cup. The next 2, pick 5 and 6, are both playing for the Iserlohn Roosters. And that is Michael Dalcol and Jake Virtanen, who just signed there yesterday. And that is per Ben Leitka on Twitter or X.
I saw that, and I actually wanted to just shout out the Iserlohn Roosters because I always used to use their jerseys in Hut because they just have a sick jersey, and we should definitely get them in Battle of the Tarps someday.
They've been already.
Oh,
Iserlohn.
man.
They won. I think
Just
that they're a month champ.
A huge rooster, but the best thing is they use brown gloves, brown helmets, brown pants. It's sick.
Yeah.
Just a shout out to Iserlohn.
And then we also have the 2014 top 10 redraft here. I don't really agree with number 1, but when you compare who's after him, I guess so. So obviously Florida Panthers, number 1 overall, Aaron Ekblad. They gave a C grade 2. Right down the middle. By far the best defenseman in this draft. There's no question. There's not even a single defenseman. Sorry, there is one defenseman at 7. But by far the best defenseman in this draft. But when you do consider that Sam Reinhart went 2 to Buffalo and they gave a B+, probably only a B+, because obviously they traded him away. So he's not really even on their roster anymore. But for Ekblad, I think the biggest shift is the fact that the Florida Panthers today could have Leon Draisaitl on their side. They don't really need the defender that Aaron Ekblad is, but they sure as heck could use Leon Draisaitl to play against Connor McDavid.
Yep.
I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
So, A+ for Oilers they gave. Bennett, 4th overall, got a C+. And then it's just a myriad of death. Dalcol, Virtanen, Hayden Fleury, F. And then William Nylander gets an A+ at 8, which I agree. 8th overall. Everyone else is missing in front of you. You get William Nylander as the Maple Leafs, the player he's turned out to be, arguably their best player in the last 3 seasons in terms of playoff production and consistency.
Yep.
Give it to him.
Most consistent player on the Leafs. Still the most consistent. Yep. Even when he comes back from injury, he's fucking scoring goals. I'm like, dude, like, you're nuts.
Still one of the biggest steals of that draft, too.
Yep.
Yep.
And right behind him, too, probably the second best steal in the top 10, Nikolai Ehlers is an A.
Moosehead
as well. He's on the trade block. Winnipeg.
Come to Colorado. Dude, Colorado better seize that opportunity. They can get the 2013 Mooseheads lineup going.
That would be cool.
That would be cool, actually, honestly.
So who would it be?
Sign to a max deal.
It would be McKinnon, Ehlers, and what's that AHL player's name again?
Who?
So from the Mooseheads line, there was McKinnon,
AHL,
Ehlers, and then that guy who's in the AHL.
Don't say that.
The guy who's in the AHL all the time.
Oh.
Don't even answer that.
Is it Jonathan Drouin? Is that his name?
Buddy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Top line. First line power play unit, buddy. Put some respect on that name.
He might not even be back.
Oh, he will be. They've already talked about it. There's been rumblings. They're going to get a contract going.
True, gotta keep
I was literally
happy.
rewatching Drouin's draft today, and they were saying like, "Oh yeah, I could see him making the league next year. Yeah, I could definitely make him see in Tampa Bay's roster next year with Stamkos and Hedman." And I was like, "Oh whoa! Did that pan out?"
I mean, to be fair, we were drafting 3rd overall for a reason, but. At the same time, it was like...
I mean, like, on Drouin's side, did that really pan out?
No. I was so mad, man. I was at a family golf tournament in Edmonton, and with all my cousins and everything, we were, like, scrolling the draft, watching it happen, and man, did I ever want Seth Jones at 3. I was like, I don't want this Drouin kid. I want Seth Jones so bad. And then we took Duran and Jones went 4th. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, because guess what, buddy? Guess what? Seth Jones lost in the 2013 Memorial Cup final in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, buddy, to none other than Jonathan Drouin. So,
yeah,
respect that champion's name, buddy. You want a champion on your team. Seth Jones.
What champion?
Yeah.
What champion? What is
Memorial Cup champion, buddy.
McKinnon carried.
What does he want as an adult?
McKinnon carried that squad.
No, that's true. McKinnon, he was good, but Drouin was a beast in junior.
Yeah, but junior doesn't matter because we can talk about the Sarnia Sting with Nail Yakupov and Alex Galchenyuk absolutely dominating people and then just disappearing as adults.
I wouldn't say Galchenyuk disappeared.
There's a couple.
He did that to himself.
There's a couple junior names they could throw out there that hasn't been the same since juniors. Like you could think of like. Steph Griffith's one name that you can bring up because I mean he was big in the Ontario Hockey League, and where is he now? He's in the AHL. I mean he's producing good numbers in the AHL, but in the All-Star game, I think 2 years in a row now. Which who knows if he ever gets a shot again? But again, it's not.
He's like 30 though.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's probably done.
Sean Day.
Sean Day is the
Sean Day was. I feel I want to bring up this debate because because my buddy brought this up to me. He feels like the exceptional status gets thrown away way too easily. I don't know if you guys agree with it. I mean,
no,
but
in the OHL, yes, but not in the WHL or the QMJHL.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with those both leagues, but the OHL, I think they throw it way too easily. Like, come on,
they got a little excited a couple years in a row. And I think that they've realized that because we haven't seen it since Sean Day, have we?
Michael Misa. And that was the debate you and I were having, Wilbs. Like, we both agreed on the fact that, like, even Michael Misa, like, as he looked at it now, like, would you still consider him for the exceptional status if you were going back to when he was granted that? So,
no.
And there you go, right?
But the thing is, like, you see him break McDavid's record at the OHL Cup, then you're just like, wow, I mean, why not give it to him? But, like, and now that you see how he's been playing, like I'm not saying that he's a bad player. He's not playing to that exceptional status role. The best exceptional status players, like top 5, which is easy, I don't know did Crosby get it? I don't know if Crosby got it or not.
I know Johnny T
No.
got it for Aaron Ekblad.
I think Tavares was the first ever, wasn't he? Like it wasn't a thing. I think John Tavares was the very first
Tavares was
ever
the
exceptional
first.
status.
I don't think Crosby got it.
But the names that you'll think of is Tavares, McDavid, Bedard.
Crosby had exceptional status in the queue.
Yeah.
Just Joe Veleno. He's the only one.
Is he?
Of the Sea Dogs. Yeah, the Sea Dogs.
Yeah. Joe Veleno's the only Q exceptional status player.
Wait, here's another thing though, is like Michael's a phenomenal guy, great guy on and off the ice, but it's like the exceptional status, I mean, maybe not, but he's still a hell of a hockey player regardless.
Yeah.
But exceptional status, I don't think so. But
like right now you have Porter Martone playing a whole lot better than he is, and he's younger than me. I think he's not even in this. No, is he? No.
He was at the U17s, was he not?
Next year.
He's an 06, but he's not old enough to get drafted, so he's going to be in the draft class next year with Misa, and I think he's projected to go higher than Michael Misa, which is nuts to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, I mean that happens, like literally. So let's talk about again 2014, my age group. Let's go back to our Bantam draft year, 2009 or something, whatever it was, 2010. Like, our guy who went first overall, his name was Alex Forsberg. By the time he was a 20-year-old in Prince George, he was, like, going nowhere. He went ahead of guys like Joe Hicketts, Ryan Gropp, Sam Reinhart. Like, he was first overall in that draft, and now here we are. I don't even think he went pro. Like, it just ended once he was done. And he was the first overall that year. Like, you never know when you talk about 14 or 15-year-olds what's going to happen. Like, it's so hard to tell. But the one I'm surprised about that didn't get exceptional status was McKenna.
I thought McKenna did get exceptional, no?
Nope.
I thought he did.
There's only two in the WHL ever, just Bedard and this new Landon DuPont kid on defense.
I thought McKenna got it, but I'm kind of surprised because, I mean, he played one WHL game when he was like, when he was 14 or 15? I can't remember, but he played his first.
You can do it when you're 15, but
yeah, you can do it when you're 15.
Yeah, you can do it when you're 15, but then that's it. I think you're only up to 3 games.
You can play 4. Play when you're 14.
And he literally had 4 points in that game. Like, calm the fuck on. How does that not get exceptional status? I don't know. Like, that's just ridiculous to me.
I'm pretty sure you can play when you're 14, can you, boys? Because there was a 14-year-old that played for. He played for Brandon this year. He scored.
Jackson Jake.
So sorry. Technically, yes, but he's a late birthday for his age group, so he still would have been 15 by the time the season ended.
Okay.
But
just like how certain 20-year-olds can play, like if it's later in the calendar year, then you're safe. Yeah, Jackson Jacobson.
15-year-old. He has to count as a 15-year-old.
Honestly, what I gotta say though is, like, seeing how the Western Hockey League's developing now, it seems like it's becoming more of a fun league to watch now. Like, I know I'm in Ontario, so I can't really get a hold of the games, but like, whenever I see all these big names like Gavin McKenna, Connor Bedard, and like that right there, when he had a hat trick. I think he had a hat trick. I don't know if he had 4-goal game or not. I can't remember. I also can't, but. Still, it's still a big feat as, like, a late 14-year-old turning 15. Like, it's nuts how the future of the W is holding up now, and it's like we're getting more and more exciting prospects, and hopefully we keep it that way because some are leaning towards NCAA, but which is why I think the OHL is kind of slipping down a bit, not by much, because you got fans that are absolute hardcore fans, so it's like it's nice to see hardcore stuff like that, but still.
Well, the NCAA just signing that deal that they're going to be paying like $33 billion a year to all Division I athletes across all sports is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean,
why would you not go?
And the dub obviously is so historic as it is, right? Like, you got a lot of these teams that were, formed way, way back in the day. Like, you got the Regina Pats when they were the Monarchs, and then. Even the Kamloops Blazers franchise, if you want to go all the way back to 1946, when they were the Humboldt Broncos / Indians, and then they moved to Estevan to become the Bruins, and then moved to New West here in BC, and then moved again to become the Kamloops Junior Oilers. So it's like there's so much historical ties in the Western Hockey League, and there's so many great roots of hockey out west, and there's so much talent that we all know that have come out of the WHL. So no disrespect to the O and the Q, obviously, but yeah, there's just so much great, rich history out in the WHL. And for those who obviously don't watch a lot of WHL hockey, like please get into it. There is so many great up and coming teams right now that have some exciting players to watch.
And I feel like once, they host it, because I think everyone's into, like, what's happening with the host team and stuff like that. That's when people get more involved into it. And I'm hoping, like, in the future, can go to more Memorial Cup events. Like, I did get to go to London's, which is my hometown team, but I want to go somewhere different. Like, let's say if another Ontario Hockey League team's hosting it, or a WHL team, or QMJHL, just, I don't know, just I feel like a lot of people like went to Sag. There were so many fans, different fans in Saginaw, KMJHL, WHL, all over. Like so, again, like any viewers of who watch the podcast, definitely we would recommend you to watch WHL. Look it up, like look at it, and like again, I think the WHL gets slept on. I know a lot of people hate on it, but like it doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. Like literally.
No offense to Dayton, but it's the second best league in Canada.
Yep.
The Q it used to be QMJHL, OHL, WHL. Then it went OHL, QMJHL, WHL. Now it's OHL, WHL, QMJHL.
And we know why the QMJHL's last. No more. Boom, 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 boom.
I also want to quickly jump on your. Sorry, Riley.
No, you're good. You're good.
I just want to quickly jump on Wilbsy's topic about the dub hostings because we just got some confirmation these last few days on Radio NL here in Kamloops, 6:10 a.m. John Keane was on the radio and he was breaking down with the mayor of Kelowna. So they have confirmed with the intent to bid for 2026, and they were also hinting, but it is now confirmed for one of the other three that I'm about to mention. So Brandon is going to try. They have confirmed now, as of today, they're confirming they're going to have an intent to bid. So that brings two more cities that are allowed to intend to bid. So you have your four max, but the other three that are interested were also Spokane and Lethbridge, and hopefully Medicine Hat.
I am hoping Medicine Hat goes for that. Honestly, I'm really, really hoping to see McKenna in that tournament. Oh my god, I
found it surprising. Lethbridge of all teams, though, Riley, you can relate the most because we follow the dub fairly closely. Yeah. But like a team as the Lethbridge Hurricanes and the Spokane Chiefs, like I've personally never been to Veterans Memorial Coliseum down in Spokane, but like those are two surprising teams. Like you boys would think that some up and coming talented teams would want to showcase their players, right? Like Saginaw just did this year. Well,
yeah.
Like, is it just because Spokane wants to host, or is it like they know they're going to be having a great team coming up? Like it's I don't get it. What would make sense?
It all comes down to because since Captain's on Spokane, if when he's going to go to the show, obviously he's going to be a very high draft pick for sure. But
he might not be around by then, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, if you're that high of a pick, then usually like if you're a top 10 pick, usually it all depends how you fit with your team. Like Matthew Tkachuk could have came back to the Knights when it was 2016, but you really think Calgary's going to let a player like that go for the overtime game winner and got developed by the Hunters? I don't think so.
Yeah, honestly, I've been to Spokane. Absolutely gorgeous city. Like whoever can get there should get there. It's a absolutely slept on town. Every building is brick, pretty much. It's like so old timey. They're like us, where they have a river running straight through theirs, but it's literally waterfalls everywhere and streams just running all through the middle of their city. It's way nice. They have bridges parked, like it's all in the middle of it. It's gorgeous there. I've been in War Memorial, really nice rink, really nice barn.
Well, see, that's why I couldn't judge, right? Like I've never been to Veterans Memorial. But
it's older bleacher, like it's bleacher seating, if I remember correctly. It's not so like they'd have to do some major updates, but it's huge. Yeah. It's one of the biggest arenas in the area. I think it seats 14,000. So it like
that's crazy.
It doubles up on Kamloops. So
Kelowna confirmed that they're going to need $4 million put aside for arena upgrades for them if they want to win the bid, right? So who knows how much Spokane's going to need. But like Kelowna's like one of the last rinks in the entire dub, boys. Here's a little fact. Like it's an original scoreboard from 1999 where it still has home and visitor still on the Jumbotron. It's crazy. Still not updated. So that's one of the big things you're going to have to look for, right? So I mean, as a venue, I'd hope they win because for us, it's only a 2-hour drive. I really hope they win.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Dude, I go to Spokane with you boys, man. Oh, dude, it's so beautiful. I love Spokane. Walking around there in the spring and summer, literally so nice. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who will win it? Kelowna would be dope. It would be easy.
And Dayton, you were teasing you may go to Rimouski in 2025. I hope you do, sir.
That'd be
It'd be exciting.
I think that'd be pretty sick.
Actually, I just want to show for the pod.
Blue Nose content.
What we need the viewers to help us grow this channel. Subscribe, like, comment, grow our content so that we can do a Tarp Tour 2025. All 5 boys going to Rimouski to watch the Mem Cup. That's what we need. So awesome. We need all the viewers to get in on this. Help us give you Memorial Cup content up close and personal from Rimouski. That's what we need from the fellas here.
See, and this is the beautiful thing about podcasting is like we're doing it all for everybody out there, right? Like we want, good healthy debates, just a couple, boys just debating hockey. Like that's what we love to do, right? So I mean, I would love if more and more people told their friends and family, like, you know what, there's a sick podcast named Gameday Tarps out there. Like they're just so down to earth group of guys. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like if we grew to be like that, where we were very well known coast to coast, because that's been our thing these last couple of weeks. Like we're broadcasting coast to coast now, and it would be beautiful if we could amplify that to another level so everybody would know who Gameday Tarps are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
people don't know the commitment. For me and Dally, it's 10:24 p.m. For Wilbs, it's 1:25, and for Dayton, it's 2:25. Is that what it is? Is it 2:25?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like
it's just a huge grind process from the boys, and we're gonna get some banner guests are coming soon. We have some upcoming coming soon, so stay tuned for that, fellas.
Yes, sir. All right, should we jump into our draft rankings? Unfortunately, we wanted to do this with all 5 of us. We've been holding off for like 3 episodes, but we just couldn't get. Dakota ended up sick, so we got to go forward with our top 10 draft predictions. How we're just gonna do it is we're just gonna go. I'm just gonna say number 10. We're all just gonna give a quick number 10, and then we'll go all the way to our top 3. We'll give maybe just a little bit on who we think is going to go 3, 2, 1, like why we think they're going to go there. Other than that, we'll bomb through it. So I can read Dakota's while you guys all do your own, and I'll do my own as well. So number 10, boys, who is your number 10 overall draft pick?
I got Tisha Ginla. Tisha Ginla going number 10.
So for me, I put Silyev at number 10 for the Devils.
And I had Cole Yzerman. I was the only one who had Cole Yzerman out of all 5 of us in the top 10.
Yeah,
going to the Devils
so far.
He has fallen since early year rankings.
Last year he was number 2 on everyone's draft board.
Now it's Lushanov.
Yep. Zane Perrick is who Dakota has number 10, and I have Anton Silyev number 10, and I think that New Jersey is going to trade that pick away, even though they got we'll talk about a trade. They got Markstrom without having to trade that pick, but I still think that they'll trade that pick to add a better roster player. But number 9, who is your number 9, gents?
Clean sweep, boys. Clean sweep.
I got Zane Perrick.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa, I was so wrong.
He had a surprising one.
10.
For me, it's just my beliefs. I think Tidge is going to be a Flame, but considering there's a lot of interest around Tidge, I don't see it happening, unfortunately. But I'm still going to have my belief gut that he goes there, but doubt it's going to happen.
For Flames fans' sakes, I hope Tidge goes there, but I I alluded to earlier, maybe on the pod, maybe it was off air, but there are 8 teams now confirmed looking at TJ Ginla. So he could go anywhere from not one. Well, he can go anywhere from 2 to 9 now. So who knows?
True. And
so Calgary better have their fingers crossed that he does not end up off the board.
If he doesn't go to Calgary, I see the Habs getting him. I just don't see it any other way. I mean, it's either Iginla or Cadden. That's one of the because that's I think the 2 players that they're interested in. I don't know why Seneca was even mentioned in the top 5 in the be a Hab, but I think it's either going to be Cadden or Iginla, in my opinion. But we'll see.
Yeah, and Dakota has Iginla, and I have Iginla going 9, and. I don't know. The NHL just kind of has this weird thing where if there's some kind of historical relevance, somehow the other teams just don't take that player. So that might happen just as like a courtesy, but you never know. I mean, he's so great. Do you really want to be the team that passed on him? I don't think so.
Well, Dakota also made a good point quickly here, boys, that, NHL GMs are always talking to each other, so they could do like a courtesy thing, right? Like you were saying, like, just keep him off the board for us, and then later on we might throw you a quick, late draft pick, for not taking him. So who knows, right? Like maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. So GMs do talk.
All right, number 8. Who is number 8?
I have Berkeley Catton going to the Seattle Kraken.
Same Perek.
Saleev, the Kraken.
Dakota has Caden Lindstrom, and I also have Zane Perek going 8th overall to the Seattle Kraken. Number 7.
I have Carter Yakimchuk going 7.
I think I put Caden Lindstrom for mine at number 7.
You did.
Believe. Yep,
you did.
I think it's fitting for him to go around there.
I have Wilbsy's boy, Sam Dickinson of the London Knights, going to the Ottawa Senators.
I would actually love that, but you know who I have at my number 6 spot.
Dakota also has Sam Dickinson going 7 to the Senators, and I have Caden Lindstrom. But I do think that pick will also be traded away by the Ottawa Senators to help build their roster. Probably for a goaltender. All right, what are we on? 6? Number 6. Who we got?
I have Wilbs' boy, Sam Dickinson.
That's 2 in a row.
I got Zeev William going to Utah, boys.
Dakota has Consta Helenius, and I have Sam Dickinson going to Utah.
3 out of 5.
Number 5, speaking of 5. Who is your number 5, gents?
And I know my pick's going to be wrong, but I got Boom going in the top 5.
I'm going to counter that and say Montreal does not need a defenseman. They're not going after a defenseman, and I really think that Montreal needs Ivan Demidov.
Also, speaking of a strong forward, out of the Spokane Chiefs, the WHL, Berkeley Catton at number 5 to the Habitant.
Fair enough. You and Dakota both think Berkeley Catton will be going top 5.
Well, I mean, Dayton said it right. I mean, he is a Montreal Habitant fan. Sorry, Canadiens fan. Why am I saying Habitant? Anyways, long story short, we agreed that they have an amazing defensive prospect pool, so they're done. They need a strong, good forward, playmaker, or a strong forward, like someone over 6 feet, right? So they need a good, strong forward.
I think he just measured in at 5'10".
Nice.
Just short. Well,
you know what I mean. That's fine.
A solid forward.
Are we talking
150 points?
Yeah, he's good.
Are we talking
I have Costa Helenius
there? That was 5'10".
Catton.
Oh, okay.
Demidov is actually 6. He came in at 6 feet. Everyone thought he was small.
We're good.
But who I thought, Costa Helenius has been talked about as being 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", even up to 6'4". He came in at 5'10", 5'11".
Sounds like
that's
a
what I've
broad
heard.
man.
I've heard him be considered this large center who's dominant like Barkov, and like that's why he was in the top 5 conversation. And now all of a sudden I'm finding out he's not that tall, and I'm like, why
At
is
the
he
World Juniors,
okay?
he looked small on that Finnish team.
Yeah, so I don't know. I heard wrong, I guess. But let's jump into the top 4. Who's number 4?
Huge hot take from Wilbs. Consta Hellenius, I think. I think he's good. I think he's very confident. I'm very confident that he is going to be a surprise pick for everybody. A lot of people there's people saying that, he won't be a top 5 pick, but surprises happen. You've seen surprise picks happen, and they start off to be really good. So, and Hellenius has had huge talk on social media. So, I can see him being in the top 5 loop.
I have the Denver University Pioneer Zeev Buium going 4.
I got Saginaw Spirits Zane Perrick going in the number 4 spot to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
That could so happen. That's such a good pick. Dakota has Ivan Demidov, and I have Ivan Demidov as well, both going to the Columbus Blue Jackets, where Dayton does not get Demidov to the Habs. All right, let's go top 3. We'll give a little bit more of a reason why, but go ahead. Who's your number 3?
I got Ivan Demidov.
Why do you think he's going to Anaheim? What's your thought?
I just feel like, he's going to be like one of those biggest offensive presences. Obviously, I feel like he deserves to be in the top 3. I mean, you think about it, he could be used for the Hawks, but the Hawks, I've heard, was apparently interested in Leshunov instead. So if Demidov does not go to the Hawks, I think the Ducks will gladly take him off their hands.
I have Silayev going to the Ducks. I think they just have a really good young core with guys like Mintyukov and Zellweger on the back end. This will just bolster that even more, and I think Anaheim will have a good future.
Yeah, I mean, I got Artem Leshonov. Dayton said it best. I mean, they have a good, solid group of blue liners. Like he said, Pavel Mintyukov, former Spirit and 67. Olin Zellweger, he got out of the queue.
No WHL.
Noah Warren. Sorry?
WHL.
So Olin Zellweger. Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
but out of the queue, Noah Warren.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, Noah Warren. And then out of the guys like Connor Smith, and then they don't have any guys up front, right? Or sorry, even Tristan Luneau, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Tristan Luneau, amazing guy from Gatineau.
Yeah, so they're going to start needing guys up there with Cutter Gauthier, and maybe if Zegras was there, but I wouldn't really count him. Troy Terry and Mason McTavish, so they're definitely going to want to look for a great playmaking forward up front. So, yeah, great prospect pool for the defenseman-wise. They definitely have to start going for some forwards.
Dakota has Zeev Buium, and I have Zeev Buium. He might not be the first defender that I have taken off the board here, but I am fully believing that Zeev Buium is going to be the best defender out of this draft when it's all said and done. And like you were just mentioning, Dally, I actually think that Anaheim is overstocked on forward prospects, right? Gauthier, Terry, McTavish. Zegras still hasn't been traded anywhere yet.
Montreal.
Right, they have...
What?
He could be. But then...
You never know.
So, if they draft a forward at this spot and then they trade Zegras for a young defender, that makes sense. But either way, they need a young defender. They either need to keep Zegras, bring in a defender, or trade Zegras, get a defender, and then draft a forward. Somewhere in there, they need to have that transaction.
I can't stand by without naming this gem off. Rodwin Dionisio is another great defensive prospect for the Anaheim Ducks as well. Forgot to put that in there. So they're just loaded on the blue line, right? So they definitely have to go for another forward. My opinion, at least.
I don't. But they're which top 10 draft pick are you going to tell doesn't get to play in the top 6 at some point here?
Yeah, that's what I mean,
you're
right?
running out of.
And again,
running out of rooms.
Again, they could I've heard rumors that they're interested in Dickinson, so we'll see if that even is a
Oh my
possibility.
God.
But would be nuts.
He's
That
good
would
enough
just
to
make
go
me
there.
take.
It would be insane to take him. I mean, London Knights pedigree. You gotta trust it. Some teams will trust
Yep.
it, and then there will be a shocker pick like Cowan was. But Cowan earned to be that pick in the first round. So
Should have went 21 to Colorado.
All right, who's number
Not
2,
Cal
gents?
Ritchie.
Number two.
Number 2 is pretty much consensus, except for Dallas.
I have.
Yes, I had. Yeah, Ivan Demidov.
which I'm
Nobody
hoping.
else had him
I'm
top 2.
hoping. I am hoping he goes to the Hawks, but they want Leshinov, and Leshinov is a great defender and all, but you need someone to play with fucking Bedsy. Bedsy doesn't really have anybody yet. Like, get him with a
That's what
guy that has offensive production. Like,
that's what people
that's the
think,
reason
but
why I'm.
people forget about Oliver Moore, Frank Nazar. There's kids
Yeah.
that could play.
Yeah, those guys are good.
So getting
Like,
a
getting
young
all those
defenseman to play
offensive,
alongside Kevin Korchinski might not be bad.
just get the offensive production, and we'll see. But I feel like Demidov would be a good spot for the Hawks, but I
I
still
think
have it
Demidov would
projected to be
fit in
Leshinov.
really well in Montreal.
Yeah, you would love that, wouldn't
Yeah.
you, Day?
Yeah, I would.
So, Dakota has Levshunov. I have Levshunov. Wilbs has Levshunov, and Dayton has Levshunov. Now, for me, here's what I think. Here's why I think Levshunov is going number 2. I think because the Chicago Blackhawks have seen 1 year of Kaden Korchinski and realizes he is not the number 1 defender that they think they're going to have. Oh, we lost
Bye-bye,
Dally.
Dally.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it says I was reconnecting. Are you there?
You know what I mean? Like, do you see Kaden Korchinski as being the Chicago Blackhawks' future best defender? Right? Like, I think they're looking for someone else to take that, and they think it's Levshunov, in my opinion.
I think Kevin Korchinski is definitely like a good second pair, like left side defenseman. I don't know if he's got the ceiling to
Can
go
you guys hear me?
top 2, but like I think he's good enough for now. That's where Levshunov steps in, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's finish off our number 1s here. It's Celebrini, right across the board.
It is Celebrini. And Dolly, I could hear you. By the way, I could hear you. I don't know if the others can, but I can hear you.
Really,
Appreciate
you can
that,
hear him?
boss.
I can't hear him.
Your
What's he
voice's
saying? Is
screens
he
are
saying
froze.
Celebrini's not going 1?
Yeah, hot take coming in.
That's weird. I'm not sure why. I don't even have him in our group call anymore, it says. So I don't know what happened, but
I can see him.
you can see him too?
I can't see him. He disappeared.
Yeah. I don't know. That's bizarre. You and him are linked differently, I guess, somehow.
Hot take, Ryder Bolton's going number 1 to the Sharks. Just like his dad, he's gonna fight.
Eric Bolton.
Shout out Ryder Bolton. Next London Knights superstar, baby.
Beauty.
He is a beauty.
I got Liam Greentree going number 1.
All right, let's try and wrap this up a little bit quick here. We got our trades. Me and Dakota, if he was feeling better, we were gonna go at it today because we got Jacob Markstrom to the New Jersey Devils, retained cap. In return, they get a 2025 first round conditional pick and Kevin Ball. And I just believe that Craig Conroy is getting bullied by every other GM out there. Like, this was a top 3 goaltender on the market. Yes, he didn't want to stay. Yes, he had the no move clause. I get that, but New Jersey did not have a goalie. They've been desperate to get a goalie, and you let them decide everything. You let them decide the conditions. You didn't get a top 5 prospect from them. You retained salary cap, and your consolation is you get a pick next year. But if it's top 10 somehow, you don't get it, and it goes to 2026, which could be good still, but like, are you kidding me? Then all you get is Kevin Ball, who's like their 6th or 7th best prospect. Like, to me, yes, he's 34. Yes, he had an inflated cap hit. I get that you had to make the trade, but it's like he just keeps getting pushed around on the conditions. and the little additions and the retaining salary cap. Like, he's getting pushed around constantly by these other GMs. He is 0 for 3 on conditions hitting on his trades this year. 0 for 3. He ended up putting conditions for 2 teams to win in the playoffs, Dallas and Vegas, and they played each other in the first round. So he was automatically losing a condition right off the hop. So I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
agree. I agree with you there. I honestly feel like, you could have got something better for Markstrom, and, it just seems like you're just playing all these games. It's like, here, we'll give you this, and then Calgary's just like, okay, we'll accept that. And it's just like, you want to try and make those smart pieces happen. Like, you're obviously rebuilding. You obviously need to rebuild your pieces again. And, like, I just don't understand this trade. I don't understand this move. And it's just like, like, come on.
Yeah, I don't think that
Yeah,
Carr would agree with us, but
no.
Craig Conroy
So,
is definitely not doing his job very well.
I'll argue his point for him when he was saying to me, he's like, look, he was an aging goaltender. They screwed it up when they asked him to waive his no trade clause, and then they didn't trade him, so they made him mad, and then he had the no trade clause, who he now probably was only waiving for New Jersey. Like, there's definitely stipulations that make it harder for Craig Conroy to get this trade done. But why did he have to retain the salary to a team that actually has a lot of young players, not with high salary caps? Why did he only get Kevin Ball back when he did retain salary? Like, salary retention is one of the most vital pieces of trades these days. It is costing some teams a first round pick to retain salary cap, and somehow the Calgary Flames, so here's what I think. They got a first round pick for Jacob Markstrom, and they got Kevin Ball as consolation for retention. Like, it wasn't Ball and the first round pick for Markstrom. Like, because then they got nothing for the retention. Like, why did they not get extra for the retention is what I cannot. Like, when we were talking at the trade deadline, it was potentially going to be either Alexander Holtz, Simon Nemec, and a first round pick. Like, one of those 2 top prospects and a first round pick going back to Calgary for Jacob Markstrom. And now they get Kevin Ball and a conditional first that might not come into play for 3 seasons? Like,
I definitely think that's a huge downgrade, especially if you're talking about a name like Simon Nemec, or even Alex Holtz. Alex Holtz is a great player too. Like, both of those guys, instead of a first that might not kick in for 3 seasons, like you said. I don't know. Like, how do you
But
go
yeah,
from
man,
here to here?
man, oh man, I just feel for Flames fans because they've been in shambles for a while now. Like, you would expect that, the Matthew Tkachuk, everyone thought that, oh, the Flames totally won this trade, but then Huberdeau doesn't go up the show like he did in Florida, and then you got
There
Weegar.
he is.
There he is.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
you
For
got
some reason, I can hear you, boys. Sorry, Aaron, but
no
yeah.
worries. Go ahead, Wilps.
But yeah, I just think, like it's just been a downfall, and I feel like changes might have to be made with Conroy. They might have to separate ways. I mean, obviously, tree living didn't really help the matter, but I just feel like changes must be done unless like unless the Flames actually surprise us and they make some surprising moves during all this shit. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just not cutting it.
I saw someone tweet, and I forget who it was, but they said, do Flames fans know how bad the Flames are going to be next year? Like,
I think they've just accepted it.
Well, do they really know? Like, because here's the thing. They have given their first round pick to Montreal. No conditions. If they fall to first overall, it goes to Montreal in the Monahan trade. Like,
Yikes.
it doesn't matter.
For a Flames tank.
So, like, they've lost their 2025 pick, and now if somehow New Jersey lands in the top 10, they also don't get that pick. And then, yes, they get an unprotected 2026, but are the New Jersey Devils going to be a bottom 10 team in 2026? Probably not. So they probably won't be next year. Like, they'll probably get this trade next year, but what is this pick going to be? Is it going to be pick 27, 28, 30? Like, it's not going to be mid-teens. It's not going to be low 20s, right? Like, they're going to be in the playoffs. Most likely.
Yeah, more likely. I just don't think like this is a good move at all. Like, there's no way you can come out of this and come out with like the longer end of the stick.
Yeah. There were too many teams needing goalies and not enough goalies available for them to do this kind of a trade.
100%.
Like, there's 3 goalies available. There's Allmark, Markstrom, and Saros. And Flames had one of those 3 goalies, and they gave him up for pretty much nothing in terms of solid value. Like, I like Kevin Ball, but he's slow because he's tall, right? He's not the best skater. He isn't necessarily the best passer or stick handler as a defenseman. Like, he to me, he averages out at highest a second pair D-man who has to have a better D-man with him, or a third pair D-man who carries the third pair. But he's not a top prospect. This is a team that had Luke Hughes, Simon Nemec, and Alexander Holtz, and you didn't even scratch any of them, plus the 10th overall pick this year, which then you could have used to move up to get TJ Ginla, and you didn't even do that. So, like, all around, asset management in Calgary has been horrendous.
Yep.
Okay, let's jump on to my favorite trade in history. The best trade I've ever seen. Pierre-Luc Dubois for backup, cap-constricted goaltender Darcy Kemper from the Washington Capitals. I am so happy with this trade because it proves everything that we have said about Pierre-Luc Dubois over the last year. How he was overpaid off that, how Winnipeg easily won this trade. Think this through. This trade was Rasmus Kupari, Gabe Velarde, Alex Iafallo, and picks now for Darcy Kemper.
That's won it since day one, but man, yeah, LA King has just come out so below average with the trade. Signed him to a max deal. They signed PLD to, and then now he's walking to Washington. Yeah,
I don't know how that's
that did not last. That did not last,
and it won't last in Washington. I don't think.
What's he on, Team 5 now? In like 6 or 7 years? What year was he drafted? 2014, 13, 16?
It was the Line A draft with
2016.
Matthews.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah. So he's been in the league for 8 years, and he's on like his 5th team. Columbus, Winnipeg, LA, Washington. 4 teams. And like, honestly, this is just so that they can get Ovi the record. No. But they just needed someone who could actually pass Ovi the puck. And that's what they got. And then they're going to be rebuilding, so his cap doesn't matter.
I feel like he's just going to be like a reincarnation of Anthony Mantha on that Capitals team.
I could see it.
Yeah.
A little quicker, better Anthony Mantha.
And then as we've been dragging Dubois, we've also dragged Laine through the mud, and then here's Laine wanting a trade. I thought it would have been such comedy if they full circled Dubois back to Columbus for Laine. I thought that would have been hilarious.
I think I'd laugh.
A Columbus Twitter page, like a fan page or whatever, they tweeted out about like what's the return for Laine, and I gave a whole spiel about like there's no way Laine's worth more than what Dubois got. Like, an overpaid backup is pretty much exactly what they should be expecting in return. And they liked that tweet. Like, they thought that was accurate, I guess. Because that's true. Like, how is Patrick Laine worth more than what Pierre-Luc Dubois is worth? Same cap hit, just a little bit shorter of a time. Same production, same underwhelming value, same lackluster effort. All that. Like, he's not going to get them anything. Maybe he'll end up in Washington and they can play with Ovi. The $40 million line.
Chemistry issues.
Yeah.
I want to see Ovi break that record, honestly. I don't know if he will, but it would be amazing to see. I think he can.
Washington will sign him to 1-year deals for minimum until he makes it.
100%.
And then the second he breaks that goal record, it could be game 5 in a season. You'll probably see him retire on the spot. Like, that's it. He won't finish the year.
Probably.
Unless they go on a cup run. Then he'll play one game in the cup final.
Well, look how old he is,
retirement,
bro.
Here's my thought. Washington is going to get the first overall pick again before they get another cup. That's how far downward they're trending. Like, they just traded Kemper away, and they just picked Charlie Lindgren to be their starting goalie. He's going to be 31 next year, and he barely kind of convinced them this year that he was a starter.
Yeah, he's never been.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Anywhere. They need a generational player again, like an Ovi. So they're gonna have to get first overall within the next 5 years.
Yep.
Get someone else in those footsteps, man.
We talked about Goodrow. Let's get to some hirings. So Carolina did officially hire Eric Tulsky as their GM. He was their assistant GM to Don Waddell. Everyone has high words about this guy. Everyone seems to like him. I like his quote here in his first press conference. This was them asking him about if he's an analytical guy, like looks into all the deep numbers. He said, "We didn't hire ChatGPT to be a GM." So he seems like he's kind of an eye test guy who likes to see the product, not just look at the back, the expected goals for, expected goals against, yada, yada, yada. He likes to see the players that he's looking at. So hopefully he works out. And more fantastic news. This is nothing really against this coach necessarily. He was put in a tough situation. But Columbus does fire Pascal Vincent, which is great because he wasn't playing Johnston. He wasn't playing Fantilli. He wasn't playing any of these young guys. And we talked about this months ago. In a team like Columbus, what are you doing if you're not playing your young players? Let them suck. Let them fail. But they have to be playing. There's nothing about sitting them in the rosters. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what Montreal's done with Juraj Slavkovsky and Cole Caulfield.
Yeah.
I mean, Caulfield went to the AHL, but Slavkovsky, everyone was saying he was a bust, and St. Louis was like, no, I'm keeping him up here with us, and now he's producing.
And he broke a record this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's going to be dominant.
You just got to give the young players time.
Yeah, and people sometimes don't want to understand that, but the thing is, it's important. Like Lafreniere's now breaking through, and you got Quentin Byfield, who also had a pretty good year too. Yep. Like again, it takes time for all these young kids, and now we're starting to see some of those kids. Like look at Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is a perfect example of that. Like took him time.
Mm-hmm. This is one guy I feel bad for is Johnny Gaudreau. He is now on his 10th head coach in 10 years in the National Hockey League. That is a coach and he has been that good for that long. How do you find that much success when the game plan's always changing, the system is always changing? And I think, but this is probably why he got fed up in Calgary. What was he there? 8 years, 7 years, and he had a new coach every year. And then finally when it came to Daryl Sutter, who was just a terrible coach for that team. They never should have hired him. He was like, dude, I'm out. Like, you guys can't pick a coach. Your last one was horrible. Let's just move on.
So the question is, will Gaudreau want out of Columbus at some point?
No, because he moved there to be closer to his parents. Yeah. That was his only reason. The only teams he'd moved to are Philly, New Jersey, or New York. Either of the New York teams. So you never know when the Islanders are looking for yet another 37-year-old on a massive contract who's slow and old. He could get his chance. All right. That pretty much does it for all the news. Let's get into our weekly segment, Battle of the Tarps. We have the away KHL Vityaz versus the home WHL Edmonton Oil Kings. So let's hear your votes on this one, gentlemen. It's actually a pretty good battle this week.
When you first sent the picture in the Discord, it has like the picture of Vitiaz and also one player from the Kunlun Red Star. So I wasn't sure which jersey you were going for, and I was hoping we were going for Kunlun, but that's all right. Now this makes
Kunlun has already been in, actually.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, they have.
okay. But yeah, that makes it a lot easier for me. I have to go Oil Kings all the way.
Yeah, Oil
Such a
Kings
nice
has
jersey.
always been fresh. Always been fresh. Always good with the colors and the jerseys itself. One of my favorites in the WHL. Like look at that. Look at that crown. Look at the font. Everything about it is just love it. Absolutely love it.
Do you guys remember their alternate jersey from? I believe it was a few years ago, but it was like black and green, lime green.
Yeah,
that was nice.
I don't remember. I couldn't remember.
This year's was so nice. It was just that royal blue with yellow. That lion was yellow.
Really?
So nice.
I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, look it up. When we went to the Edmonton, when we went to the outdoor game, me and Dakota versus Calgary, that was in their shop there, and it was such a clean jersey.
Oh God, yeah.
But for me, I'm going Vitesse. I mean, I love this jersey, man. These guys have it going on. The fact that they match their socks like their jersey, so sick. For me, it's got the fade on. Oops, let me zoom in here. It's got the fade on the arm, so it goes like black to red, and then red to the shoulders. It's got a clean white line across it that separates the black and the red. Nice clean logo. I really like their logo. I like everything about this jersey, especially because it was hard to find what jersey they currently wear. And they had a lot of terrible jerseys that were not this one. So for me, Vitjazz is definitely getting the win on this one over the Oil Kings. But I understand why the Oil Kings are getting it. Like, there's nothing wrong with the Oil Kings jersey. Usually you can't get that kind of a color contrast and make it work. And these guys do. So full props to Edmonton. I've liked their jerseys. I think that they've never really missed on a jersey. I think they've always had good jerseys throughout the years, but I'm going Vitjazz on this one.
Dally, you're muted, buddy.
Oh yeah, you're muted. Yeah.
Pity. I don't know if you could already tell, but I'm going with the Oil Kings too, boys. I got you.
Fair enough.
So clean. One of the cleanest jerseys. And like you said, Riley, love the Alties.
Yeah,
I gotta throw a picture of the alternates up when we edit this.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, their whole kit. And I liked your take earlier. Their 2013 jerseys with the the green and the black. Those almost look like BMX jerseys to me, like when Columbus did their All-Star Weekend jerseys.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Oil Kings jerseys back then, especially with the logo, but these ones now, the blue, the yellow trim, and the red, oh my God. Cleanest Tarps, boys, out of the dub.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah, those ones there, those were so sick. I can't even see. It won't focus, but yeah.
We'll throw it up. We got the June final as well, which is going to be Sudbury versus Jip. I guess this is technically going to be the Vitjazz versus Edmonton because we're so close. Well, I guess actually, are we that close to the end? No, we're going to have one more episode, actually. Sorry. So it's going to be the June semifinal. And then this is actually round robin 3. So it's not the final. It's Sudbury versus Jip. So the Sudbury alternate jerseys versus Jip. Go ahead. Take it away, boys. Who are you going with?
Sudbury. All day, baby.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to go with Sudbury on this one. I think with Jips,
Yes,
there's just too much going on. Like that's my issue. That's not my only issue with it. But again, I think with the blue with the Sudbury logo, I don't know. I can't go wrong with it. I gotta go with them.
Nice silver chrome trim. They're nice Tarps. Beautiful.
Yeah, CCM doesn't.
I'm going Wolves too.
CCM doesn't miss on Tarps, man. I'm going
right.
Sudbury.
Clean sweep. Clean sweep. Shut up and sweep.
Clean sweep.
Yeah, let's do it. CCM still should be the manufacturer for the NHL jerseys too.
100%.
Just saying.
Yeah. They probably don't want to. Look at all the creativity they get in the WHL and stuff. Like
the whole CHL. The whole
Yeah, the whole
CHL.
CHL. So the NHL, they probably talked to the NHL and they're like, okay, here's what we want to do. And the NHL's like, whoa, they get 2 jerseys and some teams get a third alternate. And on the occasion, some teams get an outdoor jersey and some teams get a special event jersey, but nobody gets more than that. Here's like all these CHL teams with like 5 jerseys in a year, just going crazy, right? SpongeBob, alternates, city edition, home, away, retro throwback, like all in one season. And then the NHL is just like, whoa, that's too much for us. We can't handle that.
Like, then you have like someone like the Vancouver Giants who has a road alternate and then a home alternate, and then they just have their strict home and away too. It's bonkers.
Dally,
but gotta love it. That's why I love the CHL.
I'll have to get this out for you next pod, Dally. But I have a Halifax Mooseheads versus Cape Breton Screaming Eagles Battle of Nova Scotia jersey.
Really? Yeah, you'll have to show us what that looks like.
Brother, let's go.
Yeah, I won it at an auction at the game.
Nice. Also,
right,
fun
gents.
fact, loved how I was just gonna say I loved. Speaking of Battle of Nova Scotia, loved Halifax's 2019 Memorial Cup commemorative jerseys with the Nova Scotia flag right along the crest there.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did too for the Battle of Nova Scotia series against the Eagles and Mooseheads. Just love that. Just love it.
I think the Mooseheads alternates that they came out with this year, the 94 commemorative jerseys, were like some of the best in the CHL. The red with the green stripes going here. Some of the best in the league.
Oh, yeah. The diagonal, too. Oh, dude.
Well, all right, fellas. I think that's it for episode 34 of the Gameday Tarps podcast. Next episode, draft day, baby. So we're going to see, what happens when we watch the draft live. We're going to try to watch the draft live at least, if we can, next Friday. So we'll see if we can make that happen. It's going to be exciting times either way, whether we do or not. Just want to again shout out, say thank you to everyone. Again, we want to do a Tarps Tour 2025 to Rimouski. So let's get this channel growing. Let's get all of our TikTok channels growing, get everything blown up so that we can give the best hockey content out there on the internet. Not just a podcast, not just hockey content, both combined. That's what we want to do here. So like this video, subscribe to the channel, like and follow on all of our TikToks. We'll put them up at Wilbs Puck for Wilbs, at Blue Nose Hockey for Dayton, at Gameday Tarps for ourselves. So as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.